talk about edge finding at this point. We're getting ready to do our next step. We scored our block up and it's time to drill a bunch of holes in our part. Edge finding is a critical process for you to learn, because when we edge find, we're going to use an edge finder to locate the edges of our part in X and Y on our mill. Locating the edges and finding the origin of our part will allow us to use the dimensions that are on our print in correlation with the DRO to get to specific points on the part very, very accurately. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to set up a drill chuck and we're going to take an edge finder. Now the edge finder is made up of two pieces. There's a solid shank here, and then there's a bottom portion that is attached via a spring. Now as this spins, okay, this is going to be out of concentricity, and as we bring it closer to the part, it's going to align. And you'll see that here in a second when we go and actually edge find. So this gets loaded into the drill chuck. Snug. And now what we're going to do is, when it's time to edge find, we're going to edge find along the left edge and the edge closest to us. And I'm going to show you why we're going to do that here on our plans. So if you look at the plans, what we're after right now is drilling these 4 holes. If you look at the plans, all of the dimensions to locate these holes come off of the left edge and the bottom edge, or the edge that's closest to us on the mill. So when we edge find, we want this edge, we need to know where it is, and we need to know where this edge is. That way all we have to do is find these numbers on our digital readout, and we can know that we're in the correct coordinates to drill our holes. So lastly, on this edge finder, we're going to have to do a little bit of math. Okay. The bottom portion of this edge finder is 200 thousandths of an inch in diameter. So we have to remember that when we edge find and we get this exactly where we want in relationship to the edge of our part, the center of the edge finder is actually 100 thousandths away from the part, because of the diameter of this is 200. If I know that the right edge is contacting the part, I know that the center is 100 away. So we're going to set up here and get ready to show you how to edge find. Alright, we've loaded the edge finder, we've loaded our part, and we've discussed where we need to actually edge find to get the location of our holes exact. So we're going to turn the edge finder, or the knee mill, on. The RPM for edge finding is around 700 RPM. So I'm going to turn the machine on. I'm going to dial in 700 RPM. Okay, and I'm ready to edge find. Now for this to work, I need the bottom portion of this edge finder to ride along the edge of my part. So I'm going to lower the edge finder slightly and bring my piece in so I can see where I'm at. Alright, so that should be pretty good right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the table left until the edge finder runs concentric, which is right about there, and I'm going to keep going until it pops out of that rotation. So right about there. You see that pop off? If I back the table up slightly, it goes back to concentric. If I go a little bit further, it pops off. At that point, I know that the center of my spindle is 100 thousandths of an inch away from the edge of the part. So I'm going to zero my DRO, and I'm going to repeat the process for this edge. Remove the table, and then I'm going to bring the table out until the edge finder runs concentric again. And until it just pops off right there. So I'm going to zero my DRO. Okay. Now remember, this is actually 100,000ths of an inch away. So now I need to account for that 100,000ths. So on my DRO, I'm going to move to 100,000ths. At that point, the center of my edge finder should be right along this edge. So I will re-zero that, and I'm going to do the same thing in X. I'm going to go 100,000ths beyond where I zeroed, and I will re-zero my DRO. So now what I've done, if I go to 0, 0 on my DRO, okay, the center of that spindle should be perfectly aligned with the corner of that part. And that is exactly what we're after, because all of our dimensions come from that point on our plan. So now it's just a matter of moving the table until our DRO reads these correct numbers, and we know we're in location to drill our hole.